welcome to another edition of the End Zone along with Cameron Johnson and Stone Weber. I am Colby Daniels. We are gearing up for SEC Media Days next week, and we don't have to wait long because Oklahoma will be on the scene on Monday, day number 1, and they will be at home snoozing in their beds before day 2 starts. But football is here. Football fever is in the air. I've been watching football highlights on YouTube and everything else. I mean, ESPNU has been playing football games. Football has officially arrived.
I've said this before, but I feel like from the end of football season, when it gets to that point, you're sitting there like, oh, there's just so long between now and then. Then a couple months pass by, you know, you get caught up in other sports, and then all of a sudden you blink and it's here again. And that's a great thing. I too am starting to get really excited for it. I've already been on the TU campus, Tulsa, and they've, for different non-football related, they were doing some Special Olympic stuff, but even that, just being around it, they're excited, I'm excited, and lots to look forward to.
College sports, college football especially, doesn't get any better than that, and I'm sure Oklahoma hoping they can get a little bit better than last season with the college football playoff berth.
The big question this week, who was Oklahoma going to take with Brent Venables to Tampa, Florida to represent the Sooners at SEC Media Days? If you had given me like 20 choices, I don't know that I would have guessed Eddie Pierre-Louis, although I think there is a giant expectation that he's going to be really good this season. John Mateer, Taylor Wine, and Eddie Pierre-Louis are the Sooner representatives in Tampa. You might be saying, why Eddie Pierre-Louis? Well, maybe because they're expecting that the offensive line is going to be a lot better. But he's also from Tampa, Florida. So I guess in that sense, I thought maybe Kip Lewis or Owen Heineke. David Stone is a terrific soundbite, but since he's from Tampa, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I think that also helps. I mean, the local connection is great, but I think it does kind of help from a confidence standpoint, saying we trust in you to go and speak on our behalf and just kind of give them the full experience. So hopefully that translates come fall.
And not only that, he's also one of the younger guys on the team, the youngest of the 3 going. And also, it's nice to see that the SEC, everyone has to bring a coach and 3 players. A lot better than the Big 12 having some teams had 6 people there. That's a little bit much. So you're going out there, like you said, maybe send in a little bit of a message, having one of your younger offensive linemen there to hopefully turn that group around.
Right. I don't know how much conversation there will be about the offensive line, but we can guarantee the headliner will be John Mateer. Curious to see what he looks like, obviously, in the passing department this year. To remind everybody, he was the betting favorite to win the Heisman after the Michigan game last year. Obviously, against Auburn, he was terrific, but sustains the injury. It was never really the same throwing the football the remainder of the season. I thought looked pretty good in the spring game, but new mechanics, a healthy thumb, year 2 at Oklahoma in a new offense under Ben Arbuckle. You expect, I mean, all of these things in addition to the transfer portal additions offensively to equal a big jump, at least in passing production.
Assuming he stays healthy, I think this is the season where we're really going to see what John Mateer can do. Last year was really wonky. I mean, like you said, he got off to that great start, then he gets injured, and then, you know, had flashes of promise, and then had games where he just looked like, whether it was the injury or mental side of things hanging around, he just never looked quite the same. So I think, you know, assuming there are no injuries, I think we're going to see a lot more this year.
Assuming no injuries from Mateer and also no injuries from the receiving corps, right? You saw a couple years ago, a lot of people were saying, oh, this is Jackson Arnold's fault, this is Michael Hawkins' fault, but the top 5 receivers pretty much didn't play the entire season. And you got a lot of new weapons, too. So I think there's going to be a bit of a learning curve first. It's a tough matchup in week 2. Kyle Whittingham, of course, known for his tough, stingy defense. So it's going to be a bit of a learning curve. May have to rely on Torrey Blaylock and the rest of the running backs early. But I do think it's going to be the best year for John Mateer. And I know OU fans hoping it can be the best year for an Oklahoma quarterback in a while. It's been a long time since there's been a consistently good quarterback at the helm from start to finish.
Well, an improved offensive line, an improved rushing attack obviously will go a long way to helping John Mateer reach his full potential. Oklahoma last year ranked 14th in the SEC in yards per carry. They didn't have a single rusher on the season that went over 500 yards. I think we saw some flashes from some of the new guys in the spring game. Obviously, Xavier Robinson and Torrey Blaylock didn't play, but I feel like from a talent perspective, they are set to have a much better season on the ground.
To me, there's nowhere to go but up. I mean, you look at the offensive line, they've got 4 of their 5 starters back there, so it's kind of like if you don't improve, then something is majorly wrong there. But I think hopefully that unit is much improved, and then if you can keep running backs healthy this year, I guess injuries is just the big theme this year, but I expect a lot more.
I think with Oklahoma, you're looking at it, they always have running back talent, very good talent. I think that's the biggest problem people with DeMarco Murray was that they could never pick one. They could never stay with one. And then you had Tawi Walker a couple years ago. Man, he had a great year. Well, they don't give him the offer, so he walks away and goes to Wisconsin. So I think, if anything, you got to kind of roll with one or two guys and give them the ball the majority of the time and not just cycle guys in and out, because at that point, nobody really seemed to ever get in a rhythm last year.
And the defense was sensational a year ago. Just imagine how much better they would be if they're not on the field as much as they were last year and they're able to sit on the sideline. You're able to extend games and keep the offense out there and, maybe build a lead even. There's a lot of upside, I think, for that defense. I'm excited for Monday. Obviously, we'll hear from all those guys, and you'll hear from them next week on The End Zone. Sticking with college football, how about this thing Tulsa is doing, the Tulsa Takeover Challenge, where they are challenging fans to play a dynasty season on College Football 27. You have to pick Tulsa, win the national championship, submit proof via social media, and you could win tickets to a Tulsa football game. I love how innovative this Tulsa football program has been under Trey Lamb.
Yeah, I mean, you go back to the Portal House last year. I mean, they've picked up that extra attention on social media, drawing in a lot of extra eyes from outside the area. But in doing something like this as well, you're inviting in just the people even in the Tulsa area who may not have been as invested because they've gone through some hard times. Yeah. This is a good way to just pull everyone in, and a fun way. And thank goodness it's summer, because if I was playing, it would take me forever to get there. I would not be productive, but very cool.
I think I think also, it brings in a lot of the college football game fan base onto your team, where you're normally not. Probably those people who play the game may not be familiar with college football, may not be too familiar with Tulsa, but it is a young up-and-coming program. And most importantly, puts young eyes and more eyes on your program as they're trying to build things up, and could maybe even beat Oklahoma State for a second year in a row.
That's right. It'll be a big week 1 game with Oklahoma State at Tulsa. Shout out to the G5, by the way. And speaking of the G5, it is the return of Adam King's return to the end zone. 10 seconds of Maction.
Yeah, we're 5 days away from Mac Media Days. It's on Wednesday, fitting for the middle of the week. And there's a few storylines we're following here, especially this first one that could change the landscape of college football this year. So we want to make sure.
And that was 10 seconds of Maction with Mac correspondent Adam King. Along with Cameron Johnson and Stone Weber, I am Colby Daniels. The UFC is in OKC this weekend. There's a UFC Thunder connection. We'll tell you about it next. Welcome back to the End Zone. It is a big weekend in the state of Oklahoma. The UFC is at the Paycom Center this weekend, 1 week after the Conor McGregor card, so a lot of spotlight and eyeballs, obviously, on the UFC. Massive main event with 2 former champions. You have Kamaru Usman, arguably among the greatest welterweight champs in UFC history, and former middleweight champion Dricus Du Plessis. In the main event, Kamaru Usman at Media Day earlier this week spoke about his game plan as he moves up from 170 to 185.
I might just piece him up, or I might take him down, or it might be something different. So, I respect his spirit. He fights hard. He's big. He's strong, and he's going to come into the fight. And whatever he gives me, that's the spiritual dance. Whatever he gives me, I'm going to take and try to exploit. So it's not just about the wrestling. It's just about being a complete fighter and being able to go out there and do what I do best, which is dominate.
For him, I said this, at 170, there's nothing he can do that's going to be better than what he already done. He doesn't have the time. He's defended that belt many times, the winning streak, that's never going to be again. So for him, the only way to do something great to add to his legacy is to get that double champ status. So I was surprised, but it made sense, and I was really excited to be able to face a legend like Kamaru Usman.
There you go. I'm really excited about this fight. There are championship implications here for both guys. A big win. It doesn't take just a win, but a big win in a big way. Exciting type of win. Puts one of these guys perhaps in the driver's seat to face whoever the middleweight champion is going forward. And for Dricus Du Plessis, he's already held that belt. For Kamaru Usman, legacy at stake, being a 2-division champion would be the ultimate, solidifier in terms of becoming one of the all-time greats. So that main event is awesome. We were at the Skirvin earlier this week for Media Day, I don't know if you're aware of this, but the Skirvin is haunted, right? There's this legend that it's haunted by a ghost, and we had a little experience with that because as all the media are in this room and they're going through interviews, everybody's plugged into the same sound box, right? So for those people that aren't familiar with how all this works, there's a sound box. Everybody plugs into it. Everybody, in theory, is supposed to get the exact same sound. There were people in the room that were getting like a violin orchestra sound from like the 1800s into their feedback camera when they would play back. They couldn't hear it in real time, but when they would play it back, they were getting like this orchestra violin 1800 sound, and other people weren't getting it, which is weird because if you're all plugged into the same place, like why would that happen? So the legend of the Skirvin being haunted was in full effect at Media Day earlier this week, and then I think to add to it, Dricus du Plessis had a little fun. He was asked if he could have a pint with anyone on planet Earth, dead or alive, who would he have a pint with?
Well, I have two. They say there's a lady walking around in these halls. Of course, this place is haunted, so I would like a pint and hear what's her story. But she's dead. But alive, probably Max Verstappen.
I love the answer. I don't love the end answer because I'm a Lewis Hamilton fan, so that means, rivalry-wise, I can't like Max Verstappen. But but of course she's dead. I'm with him though. I would like to hear her story if you could have a pint with her. But I just love how like a UFC fighter has no fear whatsoever.
Yeah, he rolled with it right away. I also love, by the way, that he just embraced the full cowboy look
Oh,
there.
yeah.
But I want to know what the common denominator with all those people who heard the music, was there like something about them? Like, are they lucky or are they unlucky? I guess
think
time
they're
will tell.
unlucky. I mean,
time will tell.
We didn't get it, so I think they're
Okay.
unlucky.
Well, let me know
if I'm gonna look
if
at it through
anything
that lens.
wild
But
happens.
It was pretty interesting and kind of added a fun element to the whole like UFC in town and the Skirvin and it being haunted. So that was pretty cool. So I told you guys about this UFC Thunder connection last weekend. The big card in Las Vegas featuring Conor McGregor. Ton of celebrities in the building, including a couple of Thunder players, Chet Holmgren and J-Dub, Jalen Williams. There was a case of mistaken identity on the UFC broadcast, and it sent Dana White, UFC president and CEO, into a rage. Take a look and listen to Dana White after that fight card.
Production team, we just did the White House. We built a arena on the south lawn of the White House, and it was the greatest in the world to be there live and to watch it on TV. I just paid Shakur Stevenson a load of money, and for some reason we can't figure this celebrity out. They put him up as a OKC NBA player. Are you kidding me? I mean, it's absolutely crazy. But we are the absolute worst to ever do the celebrity thing. When we put celebrities up, we are the worst. I just had debate in the back with my guys while I was screaming at everybody back there, and they said, no, soccer's worse. Soccer shows the people and they don't put up any graphics. Oh no, we put up graphics and put the wrong guy's name on it. We win. We're the worst ever.
We're the worst ever. I love that he's just taking it and saying, you know what, we're terrible, and there's no getting around that. We almost put the wrong graphic up on that clip just to maybe like take some of the heat off of Dana White, but no, there we go. Look at our production team
Well
here. They
played.
are sensational, and this one. I can't tell you whether this one was on purpose or accident, but well done, well done. All right, we got to take a timeout. We've got World Cup predictions on the other side of the break. Plus, last week I told you we would check out my Olympic course river rafting, so we'll take a look at that. All of that coming up next right here on The End Zone. Welcome back to The End Zone. I'm Colby Daniels. That is Stone Weber and Cameron Johnson. By the way, the ICF Canoe Slalom Championships, World Championships, opening ceremony on Saturday. It's going on over the next week. They're also at the Skirvin, so hopefully they don't experience any of the haunting, and that doesn't translate to World Championship performances at Riversport. But I told you guys I got the opportunity to go down the competition channel, which was very intense. It was a ton of fun, but it was absolutely an experience, and it puts into perspective even more what these athletes are capable of and how easy they make it look. Chris Sorensen, the director of Riversport, spoke with us about this event And while he's speaking, I'm giving you guys a firsthand look at my experience down the channel.
These athletes are Olympics, medalists, Olympians. I mean, they're unbelievable in how they make it look so easy as they come down the course. And so really excited for that. Friday and Saturday, we're going to do the kayak cross, which is a head-to-head race. That is a crowd favorite. In Paris, that was the breakout sport. So I'm excited to see that. And then the closing ceremony. I hear we have the Red Bull skydivers that are going to be part of the closing ceremony. So I'm kind of excited to see them come in and maybe land in the water. I don't know. Lots going on the 20th through the 25th down here for the ICF World Championships. Again, this is the biggest competition in the International Canoe Federation this year here in Oklahoma City. And then in 2 years, we're going to be hosting the exact same events for the Olympics.
The river, and I got to tell you, like, I'm not in the greatest shape ever, but I'm not in the worst shape either. And I was sore in my hips and core area for like 3 days after that. I mean, it takes a lot of strength to try and do anything with those waves and the water going in different directions. And it was a lot of fun, but it was very intense.
I believe it. I mean, you're not very seldom during that are you just like staying pointed straight and moving forward.
Right.
You're just like in an uncomfortable angle the whole time, I would imagine.
Right.
But well done. I'm glad you made it out in one
Thank you.
piece.
I survived. I'm still here. I didn't tip over and drown in the raging water, but it was like 140 degrees. I'm sure our meteorologist Jack Gerfin's like, it wasn't actually that hot, but it was like 140 degrees that day. So the water, when it did hit us, felt really nice. But man, that was a lot of work. It was a ton of fun. And if you have a chance, get out there and see those athletes over the course of the next week for the ICF Canoe Slalom World Championships. All right, World Cup final is coming up on Sunday. What a matchup we have. It's Spain and Argentina. Spain has only been there one time, and they won it back in 2010. They haven't lost a match since March of 2024. Argentina, the reigning champions. Cameron, what do you think we see?
Well, let's not forget, Spain are the reigning European champions as well. Now,
That's right.
I have some very colorful thoughts. I'm going to keep it a little more polished. Ultimately, I think that Spain is going to flex their muscle in this one. I think Argentina, I will lightly put, they've gotten some favorable competition.
Yeah.
I think they are a very good team. Defending champions, Leo Messi, but I have Spain taking it.
Yeah,
Scott, what do
I
you got?
think Spain probably, like against France, pretty comfortable. Argentina's midfield can't really keep up. They've got enough defense, and then, of course, Lamine Yamal.
Yeah.
I know Argentina's a lot of great players. They don't have a winger like that, though.
If Spain can get on the board early, I think it turns into an ugly game. I think they shut down Messi like they did Mbappe. Just watch out for those final 20 to 25 minutes, because that's when Argentina really locks in. But it should be a fun matchup. What a World Cup it's been. It's been an incredible time to follow this thing. And we have the closing argument coming up next right here on The End Zone. Welcome back. We are wrapping up the show with the closing argument. That is Noble McIntyre. I am Colby Daniels. So it is officially college football season. Media days are taking place. OU is going to be at SEC Media Days next week. So I want to get your take on the biggest headlines for OU football going into Media Days.
Well, I think it has to be one, is Venables on the hot seat still, or is he off because of last year's? And two, Mateer. I mean, he was the be-all, end-all coming into the season. He then got hurt. It looks like he's back better than ever and stronger than ever. But because of the performance last year, people are doubting. And so I think the question is, do we have the right quarterback? And is this coach finally in a spot where he's not on the hot seat?
I think if OU goes 8-4, you're very much going to hear conversations about it. I don't know that would be enough maybe to pull the plug, but the OU fan base will be really fired up with an 8-4. 9-3 is probably about the level of expectation. Above that, I think everybody's happy. Defense is going to be great. I have no doubts anywhere on that side of the football. John Mateer's a year older, and if healthy, you think just naturally he should be much better. I think skill position-wise, they're going to be significantly better too. Maybe I'm oversimplifying it, but for me, the level of success is totally dependent on the offensive line and their ability to let John Mateer just be, at worst, a game manager, which I think would be okay for them.
Yeah, I think 100%. Add in, though, we need to have a running game. Mateer was not helped at all last year with
Right.
our running game. We've got to get some pressure off of him there. So the offensive line, the running game, give him a little more time, and I think we're going to have a really, really good year. I personally would be disappointed at 9-3, but that's because every year I think OU's
right.
going to win the whole thing.
That's
Every
right.
year.
Well, you wouldn't be a blue blood, right?
That's
if you
exactly
didn't expect
right.
a national championship every single season. Again, I think the year 2 of Ben Arbuckle and that offense, and hopefully the young offensive line getting better, generates a little bit more rushing attack. But it's going to be a lot of fun, and obviously early in the season, it's Michigan, Georgia. You know, leading up to
It's gonna be
Texas,
rough.
there's a 3-game stretch there in 4 weeks, I believe, that is going to be the gauntlet, and we'll have a really good idea of how good Oklahoma is going to be. All right, that is Noble McIntyre. I am Colby Daniels. SEC Media Day is coming up next week. We'll talk all about it next week on The End Zone.